Hello friends, welcome to a new reading vlog. I'm currently packing and trying to get my life together because I'm leaving tomorrow for a girls' weekend to the beach, which I'm so excited about. The house we are going to doesn't really have, well, it doesn't have Wi-Fi. It doesn't really have cell reception, so it's a real no phone kind of house, and it's great because while I have really been wanting to read lately, I have also really wanted to just check out and watch YouTube, and that's what I've been doing because that takes the least amount of brain power. Like, even though I want to really read, I want to also be supremely lazy. So I'm hoping this weekend, and not being able to access YouTube, not being really able to use social media, forces me to, really lean in to my books. So I'm currently going through and trying to figure out which books I'm bringing. I mean, it's only 2 nights, so I can't get crazy. I am going to bring The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. This was one of the titles I pulled from my TBR jar for April. And this is fantasy, and I think it's fairly, maybe not dense, but I don't know. I think this will take some brain power. Let's put it that way. I don't think this is it's okay if I miss something in the reading. It's okay. I don't think this is an okay if I zone out kind of book. But I am going to bring it because I think this will be good. There'll be minimal distractions, which is ideal. And then I kind of went on a panic borrowing things from Libby last night to have on my Kobo. So I have some options. These are both so silly and say so much about my reading tastes. I checked out Raw Dog by Jamie Loftus. This is the naked truth about hot dogs, y'all. I've wanted to read this so badly since I first found out about it. I am obsessed with the cover, and I feel like I could love it. I hope I love it. I have such this is nonfiction, clearly. I have such high expectations, so that's an option. And then I also checked out Hot and Badgered, which is a honey badger shifter romance by Shelley Lawrenston. Okay, look, I do love a monster romance. I know shifter isn't technically monster because they don't bang while he's in monster form, but still, it's adjacent. Also, I have read Shelley Lawrenston before under her other pen name, J.A. Akins. And under that pen name, she writes some of my favorite fantasy romance, favorite fantasy romance. And I've been meaning to go back and read some of her older stuff that she writes under the other name. And it was just available to borrow right away. So I figured it was a perfect time, if not now, when? So I have those. I also have a couple of audiobooks checked out from my library. I checked out Goblin Mode, and it came from The Closet, which is a collection of essays from queer writers about horror movies. And then I forget what the third one was, but it was also something easy to listen to. I also have, it's over there. I also have Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers out from the library. It's right there. I have been primarily listening to it on audio, but I got the physical just to see if maybe I would go a little bit faster, though I'm loving the audiobook. So it's not that I don't want to listen to the audiobook, but just sometimes it's not convenient to listen to an audiobook. So I have the physical. I might bring that too. I'm a little leery about bringing a library book, though, to be honest. But yeah, I think it'll be a good weekend. This vlog will also go through next week. So nice, week-long vlog. Did I say that it was going to be a weekly vlog? Anyways, thanks for hanging out with me, and let's go to the beach. windy. Hopefully that won't affect the sound too much. And I'm recording on my phone, so you know, we got a lot of stuff going on. But I'm just waiting for my mom so we can walk down to the beach. But I wanted to give you a little reading update. I started Raw Dog, which I've been eyeballing so hard since it came out. I love the cover. I just love the idea of it, and it is exceeding all of my expectations. It's so funny. It's so interesting. It's very upfront about what the process is to make hot dogs. So definitely not for the faint of heart, but I love that it doesn't take itself too seriously. That's a great time. And yeah, just so far I can't see this not being a 5-star book, you know, like one of those reads. And then I started Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison, and that one it's just different. It's just different. And so I've only read 2 chapters because right now the hot dog book is more compelling and more entertaining, whereas the Goblin Emperor is a lot slower, you know, more immersive fantasy. So it's just a different vibe. And I'm definitely in like a distracted reader mode this weekend. And well, distracted reader mode for like the last like 2 weeks. So just that slower fantasy is a little bit, it's harder for me to stick to, but I think the writing's good. I think I'll like it once I get into it. And of course I did buy books at the bookstore. Okay, sorry, my mom came out of the house and we started on our walk. I was saying, I got 2 books at the bookstore that we went to, and I'll show them later, but I got the sequel to One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, because I think the only way I'm going to read that book if it's on my shelf, shaming me into reading it. And then I got The Story of Silence by Alex Myers, which I talked about in my April TBR video. Yes, so that was great. And The Story of Silence was used, which I love. Yeah. Book buy on a budget, kind of, sort of. And they're also the first books of April that I've bought. Granted, it's only April 6th, so I have time. I'm going to try not to, though. I'm going to try to dial back the book purchasing a little bit. Yeah, I think that's all the updates. I don't know. It's just been a very chill weekend, which is awesome. The weather's been kind of gray and drizzly today. I'm only out for a walk because the sun came out, but I see a lot of storm clouds coming in, so I'm going to get back to the house and hunker down under my blanket and keep reading Raw Dog, which, like I said, is fantastic. I might be a vegetarian after I'm done reading it, though, so that's fine. Okay, I am back home. Obviously, that was a fantastic, relaxing weekend, and having my first morning back because school morning was rough, but it's okay. Everyone's off at school. I'm pretty much ready for work. I have a little bit before I need to leave, and instead of going to the gym, I thought I'd come home and try to catch up on just household things so that we are set up for a successful week. But I also did that thing where I got too excited about books and I started starting books instead of finishing books. So I did finish Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, which I'll give you my review in a little bit for that one. So that was great. So now I'm down to 4, and I need to finish The Feast Makers either today or tomorrow at the latest, because this is for a vlog that is going up on Wednesday, the day after tomorrow. So this is definitely the priority. But then I'm also reading Read This to Get Smarter, about race, class, gender, disability, and more by Blair Imani. And I've been reading this for a long time. It's not a thick book. It should not be taking me this long to read it. I started The Goblin Emperor at the beach and only read 2 chapters, but you know, I started it, so I need to make progress on this. And then I also, as you saw, started reading Raw Dog, and I'm 47% of the way through that, and I'm loving it. so much. So that's kind of where we are at for reading. I definitely have squirrel brain right now. I want to read all the things, but I also want to watch all the YouTube videos, and I want to do all the projects, and I want to just do everything under the sun, and there's just not enough time for it. You have to prioritize. Okay, so I think the plan is, since I only have a little bit of time, I'm going to put on my headphones and listen to some more of the Feastmakers so that I can get that done and then finish up that video and get it out into the world. And if you haven't checked it out yet, I'll try to remember to link it down below. Oh, I forgot to link videos for my March wrap up, so maybe I should go and do that. I'll come back after work and I'll give you my Vera Wong review. Spoiler alert, I really, really liked it, so that will be fun to discuss. I don't know how I did it, but I did finish the Feastmakers. Goddamn, the shine. So if you want to hear my thoughts, I just did this is in the vlog. I don't know what I'm titling it yet, but it's either titled my March catch-up vlog, or it's a March anticipated releases reading vlog. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna, but one of those two, whichever one is on my feed. That's where I'm going to talk about this one. So if you want my thoughts, I think I'm going to give it a 4.25. I had a good time, and I'm excited to move on to something else. I promise I did not forget that I owe you book reviews. Maybe I kind of did, but mostly not. Mostly I remembered. Okay, I now owe you 2 reviews. First off, Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, which I finished while I was at the beach. And this is a cozy-ish contemporary mystery, and I liked it so much. It's got a really light-hearted tone, which I loved, but this is about Vera Wong, who is an elderly woman who owns a failing tea shop, and she comes downstairs one day and finds a dead body on the floor of her tea shop. She does what you're supposed to do. She calls the police. She mostly doesn't disturb the crime scene, but she is vastly underwhelmed with the San Francisco PD's attitude towards the dead body in her tea shop, and decides to solve the murder on her own because she feels like she can do better. And it was great. It was really funny. It had a really wonderful found family aspect. It had multi POVs, which I wasn't expecting. I was really just expecting to get Vera's point of view. So it was really delightful when we got all these other people's point of view, and I just had a good time. I gave it 4.5 stars because I felt like the ending did wrap up very conveniently, and I'd never guessed who the murderer was because I'm not that kind of a reader, but I did watch the live show for Literally Dead. Why is that always so hard for me to say? For the Literally Dead book club, and a lot of people in the comments were saying that they guessed the ending and they felt like the ending was predictable. So if you are the type of person who tries to predict what's going to happen in a mystery book, you'll probably be able to figure this out. I don't think that deeply about what I'm reading, so I did not guess. I really liked the writing. Like I said, I just loved Vera. She's so perfect. She's just perfect. I will hear no criticisms about Vera, and it makes me really excited to read Dial A for Aunties, which I've had on my shelf for a very long time and still haven't read, but now I know that I really like Jessie Q. Sutanto's writing, and I'm pumped to go and read more. I will say the other reason it's a 4.5 is that there is a 2-year-old in this book who did not read like a 2-year-old. I would buy that she was a 4-year-old. I don't know that I would buy that she was 2. That did knock it down a little bit, but I understand it's so hard when you have kids in books and it's not middle grade. Like, I almost never like how the kids are written in adult books. I always feel like the authors don't do a good job, but I think it's hard. I think it's hard to have a kid that feels true to whatever age they are, but also isn't annoying. I had a great time, and this was really easy to read. I never really wanted to put it down. I wanted to keep reading and see what was going on, and it's a good time. The other book I finished is Raw Dog by Jamie Loftus. Y'all, the journey I went on with this book. I have wanted to read this book since it came out. There's something about the title, the cover. I have just been obsessed with wanting to read this book. I thought it would be a really fun time, and you know what? It was a really fun time. And I would be careful going in because the author did her homework and researched slaughterhouses and how hot dogs are made in the US. So, you know, that's not great. Just take that into consideration when you pick this up. And it's a little bit of history of a hot dog, but really what it is Jamie Loftus went on this summer of hot dogs road trip across the United States, and she went to these restaurants in different states that are known for iconic hot dogs, and she tried them all. And so it's a little bit of a travelogue. It's a little bit of a memoir, not a ton, but she does embark on this road trip with her boyfriend and her cat and her dog. And at the beginning, she's like, in regards to a relationship, she says the summer of the hot dog giveth and the summer of the hot dog taketh away. So, you know, things do not go great for her personally on the road trip, but it was really fun to listen to her describe these restaurants in really great detail. It was so easy to picture them because her descriptions were just so good. And she also talks about what else is going on in that city, like the social, the racial, the economic things that have impacted the business and the city as a whole. She was also doing this, the cat is just right there, so if you hear any weird noises, it's because she's not asking for attention, but not asking for attention. She is doing this road trip in the summer of 2021, and so COVID does come up a lot, as it should, because it was, you know, it's a reality of if you're going to road trip in the world. So then how COVID has affected these businesses is also a big part of it. She also talks about the National Hot Dog Eating Competition that happens on the 4th of July, and that was probably my favorite section because it was just so fascinating to find out the history of this competition, the politics, like internally of the competition, about the people that are competitors and like serious competitors who compete in this every year. I just thought it was so well done. But that chapter is also got repetitive, which is why it's more of like a 4.5 star than the 5 star that I thought it was going to be at the beginning. But I mean, I started this at the beach and I was obnoxious about reading parts of the book out loud to my mom and my sister and my sister-in-law. I recognized that I was being obnoxious, but I was so hyper fixated on it. I just couldn't stop myself. I would say read it if you are interested in social justice, if you're interested in hot dogs, if you're interested in a light critical analysis of the United States in relation to like the what is considered to be a national food. I know, it had a lot of things going on. Overall, I had so much fun with this book. I finished it last night and I texted my sister and I was like, well, I finished the hot dog book. My life is a little sadder now because I'm done with it. So 2 books down, we're doing good. I am still working on Read This to Get Smarter and The Goblin Emperor. This one, I have a chapter and a half. No, I have 2 chapters left. This is probably gonna, we'll see. I might change my mind. This probably is gonna end up just being like a 3.5 star. Sadly, the writing isn't as engaging as I had hoped it would be based off of her internet presence. It's probably written in the same tone as her Smarter and Second series, but I think because it's written and not being spoken, it tends to read a little bit drier, if that makes sense. But I'm not done. I have 2 more chapters. I have the chapter about race and racism, and then the chapter about gender and LGBTQ, is it rights? Sex, gender, and sexual orientation. Okay. So I have those 2 chapters left. And then Goblin Emperor is growing on me. I thought about DNFing it just because I was kind of bored, but I was also like early pages. I just crossed the 100-page mark this morning because it's a little bit not drier, but it's political fantasy, which arguably I don't read a ton of. And I just wasn't sure. There's a ton of people. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of places. I'm already kind of confused and overwhelmed. There is like a glossary of people and places and things, but it's confusing. It's not easy to reference. So there's that. But I like Maya a lot. So this is about Maya, who is kind of the disgraced son of the emperor, and the emperor and Maya's 3 older brothers end up dying in an accident, in not a vehicular accident, because I don't think there's any vehicles, but it was like a ship. Something crashed, and there weren't really any survivors. I don't think there were any survivors. Anyways, and so Maya is unexpectedly crowned emperor. Maya is half goblin. His mother was a goblin, and she was kind of a disgraced empress. And so there's a lot of politics of what it means to have a half goblin on the throne. The goblins are referred to in a lot of language that is similar to how Black people are referred to in like classic literature, just in the way like the dark skin is described. There's no racial slurs, but like the language is very similar. I'm struggling through the how do we feel about a white author, because I'm pretty sure she's white, using that kind of language, but we'll see. We'll see where this goes. I don't think it's offensive. It's just something I'm taking note of. All right, and this clip is now 12 minutes long, which is going to be a beast to edit when I get it onto my computer. So I'm going to stop here and go read a little bit. I have a little bit before I have to pick up E from school. They are starting an aerial yoga class this afternoon, which we're very excited about, and it'll be so good for them to go get some exercise. It'll be a nice way to like break up our afternoon, because the twins are in play rehearsal every day, so it's a lot of E and mama time. All right, bye. All right, everyone, long time no update. Sorry about that. You know, the reading's been a little bit of a situation, but I did finish Read This to Get Smarter by Blair Imani, and what did I give this? Did I give this a 3.5 or a 4? Let's find out together, shall we? Okay, so I'm hovering between a 3.5 and a 4. I think this is structured really well. It's broken up into 6 chapters. We have a chapter about identity. Another one about relationships, like family relationships, toxic relationships, things like that. One about class, about disability, race and racism, and sex, gender, and sexual orientation. It's organized really well. I think what I said earlier still stands. I think this is a great primer book for somebody who is just finally maybe ready to start learning more about other systems outside themselves, somebody who's ready to do some unpacking. I did find myself highlighting quite a bit because like there were good reminders for terms that I know what they mean, but having a refresher of what they mean is good. But it is very much, I think, an introductory book to, I don't want to say social issues, but this lane of educating yourself. I think it's a primer, which is great. I think we need a lot of those. I don't know that this was necessarily what I needed in terms of information, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be catered towards me. That's perfectly fine. I do think the style of writing she has, while that works really well in a video concept, I think it comes across as kind of dry in the book. I also did listen to the audiobook just for a little bit, and she does narrate the audiobook. I love her narration style. So I do still think, I mean, I'm going to continue to follow her on Instagram because I love her content and I love her videos, and I think the information she has to impart is really necessary and useful and valid. And I am glad I finally read this and got it off my unread shelf, and I am gonna hold on to it because my middle kid was looking at the cover while I was reading it and asked if they could read it, and they 100% can read it. Like, you could hand this to a teenager or a preteen and they could read it just as well as like an adult aged person. So I'll keep you hanging on to it in case the kids want to read it. All right, now we have to have a talk. I'm 150 pages into The Goblin Emperor, and let me just say, I love Maya so much. He is such a precious little baby. I feel so sad for him that he is being forced to be emperor. He doesn't really have a choice. He doesn't have any friends. He's so lonely, and I want to be his friend. But I am definitely reading this slow. So I can either make the decision that it's going to be a slow read and we can end the vlog and, and I'll either talk about it in another vlog or I'll talk about it in my monthly wrap up, or I can pull up my big girl reader pants and knuckle down and actually finish the stinker before the weekend is over. And which one will I pick? That's a great question. I have no idea. I'll let you know in the next clip. All right, I got her done, much to my amazement. I don't know about you all. Maybe you all believed in me better than I believed in myself. Okay, The Goblin Emperor. This book really tested my assertion that if I like the characters, I don't need for there to be a plot. And I would say mostly that is true because not a whole lot happens in this book. So we have Maya, who is half elf and half goblin, who's been exiled, I guess, from his father's house after his mother, the third empress, dies. And he is raised pretty much in isolation in the care of a relative who is pretty abusive towards Maya. And then unexpectedly, the king and Maya's older brothers all die in an airship crash, and Maya is unexpectedly throned as emperor, which is fairly controversial because he is half goblin, and goblins aren't regarded very highly by the elves. And Maya's really young. He's only 18 when he is crowned. And you're really just watching Maya navigate palace life, and there's really strict rules for high society. So there's really strict rules for Maya, how Maya should behave. There's even like a really formal language that Maya needs to use as emperor, and remembering to be formal, and just learning who to trust and learning whose intentions are just and forthright. And I really love Maya. I think he's really easy to love. He's very easy to care for. His relationship that he forms with two of his bodyguards was my favorite part of the book. Like, watching that dynamic, I just lived for those scenes. The thing about this book is that there are a lot of very complicated names and a lot of characters. And a lot of the characters have multiple names. There is a glossary and like a dramatis personae in the front, but I found the way that it's structured in this book to not be very easy for reference purposes. It felt unnecessarily complicated to keep track of who is who. So that would be my complaint. And when I was going through Storygraph after I finished kind of looking at other people's reviews, that was predominantly, like, even the people that gave this 5 stars cited that it's really challenging to keep track of all the characters because there's just so many of them. And then of course there's not really a plot. There's maybe 2 high action scenes and then they're over right away. So it is a very much a character motivated political fantasy book. So if that is your thing, like, I think this is also so well done. The writing is really good. The character work is great. Like, I think this is probably one of the best of its type. But really, Maya was like my North Star. If I hadn't loved Maya as much as I did, I don't know that I would have finished it, because it's not a small book. It's 50 pages shy of 500. So it is a lot of books. The synopsis on the back makes it sound like it's going to be a little bit more of a mystery, and it's not. That's not what this is. This is a slow-paced political intrigue fantasy, but I think it is incredibly well done. And I also listened to most of it on audio, and I really enjoyed the audiobook narrator. And I'm interested to see, because this I think is a standalone, and then there's another duology that takes place in the same universe, in the same world, called The Witness for the Dead, and it's about a minor character in this book. And I don't have Witness for the Dead. I have The Grief of Stones, which I think is book 2. I don't know why I have that one, but I don't have Witness for the Dead. Anyways, doesn't matter. That's discussion for another video. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close out this vlog. So I think I read 4 books in this vlog. Oh, my battery's about to die, crap. It was all a good time. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye!